productive day.
Hey
Guys,
guys,
I got
welcome
around
back to part 2 of the Void Linux installation guide. Today we
already.
will actually be
Already.
doing some work. So the first thing you want to do when you want to install any Linux distribution from the terminal is you want to partition the disks. So objectively fdisk
Partition
is
of
the
this.
best way to
Who
do
does
that.
that anymore?
So the first thing I'm going to do is going to do lsblk to list out the disks we have.
What?
And let me just stretch this. Okay, so as you can see we've got SDA here. You might have NVMe 0P1 or something like that. That's okay, we have
He
SDA
just
here.
knows those numbers off the top
So
of his head.
fdisk, and then we're gonna do /dev/SDA. And for you this might be dev/NVMe 0P1 or something like that, but we have
Imagine knowing
SDA.
all those comments by heart.
So the first
Oh
thing we're going to
God.
do is we're going to create a GPT partition table. Now this is very useful
A
if you're
what?
using UEFI, but it also works with BIOS. Now this is strictly a UEFI installation because BIOS is trash. So now that we've done
He's
that,
definitely not
the
scripted
first thing you
this.
want to do is now we want to create a first partition. This is the boot partition. We're going to let it choose the partition number and first sector automatic. I'm going to give this about 124 to actually 128 MB of
That's
storage.
it.
Yeah, it doesn't need more than
That's
that
it.
because all it's going to do is it's going to store the init RAM FS and the kernel executable. That's about 65 MB total, and I like to give it
So let me just
128
for a
because
notepad file.
just in case. So as you can see, now we're going to set the type. This will auto choose partition 1. We're going to set the type for this to 1. This is EFI system. Let's print out a partition table. We've got 128 MB and we've got quite a bit of free space there, as you can see. So now what we want to
Anyone
do
feeling the need for
is,
aspirin?
now let's choose if you want to swap space. Now you need a swap space if you're going to be doing something compiling heavy, if you have a RAM which is less than 8 GB in my opinion, but you might need a swap
In
space even if your
2021,
RAM is
sure.
about 8 GB. So for this installation we are going to use a swap space just because. And if you don't want to use a
Because
swap space, make sure to substitute this whatever I do for. Typically you can substitute stuff. I'll tell you when to do that. So for now let's just create a swap space. So new partition, let it choose a partition number and first sector, and I'd say this swap space can be something 512 MB. That's enough. And we set the type to partition 2, and we set the type to 19, which is another swap space. So there we go, Linux swap. Now we want to create a last partition. Just keep pressing enter. This is going to be Linux file system, and we've got 4.4 GB. Yep, that's what we need. Now we're going to press W
I hope
to
you're not
write,
left picking up pieces
and
of
we're
your
done.
hard disk from the floor or whatever.
Yeah, so now what we want to do is we want to actually let's type in lsblk again. As you can see, we've got 3 partitions on SDA, 1, 2 and 3,
Odd
as we
number,
want.
yuck.
So the first thing we want to do is we want to make the first partition a 32-bit VFAT. This is needed by the UEFI standard, so just do as I say. We're done. Now the second partition is the swap space. So for this what we're going to do is we're going to do make swap /dev/sda2. Oops, forgot an S there. There we go, swap space. And at this point you can also type in swap on /dev/sda2, but we're not really going to be doing that because you can do that later too. And the last thing you want to do is you want to do makefs.ext4 /dev/sda3. Now if you
He
aren't
just types stuff
now
to
if
do
you
stuff.
aren't now if you aren't using
Hmm.
swap, the last command you might want to exchange is for /dev/sda2, and you might want to skip the make swap command entirely because, well, you don't have a swap. Thank you all for watching, and this concludes part 2 of
Definitely Definitely very
the
helpful.
Void Linux
Void.
installation series.